My lawyer had already prepared the documents. From this instant, this house belonged to me. My brother's voice rang against the chandelier crystals like a verdict falling inside a courtroom. He didn't even blink as he turned toward the gathering, raising his glass higher. She is no longer welcome here. A ripple of laughter passed among a few relatives, the kind that wounds sharper than speech. My husband's lips curved against his wine glass, calm, sipping as if betrayal were a vintage red. My best friend pressed my hand under the table, her nails cutting into my palm to remind me I was still flesh, still alive. Hello everyone, my name is Aar Quinn. I'm 29. And if you believe you can guess where the story leads, hold your breath, because once I thought family was my anchor. But what if the anchor is the very weight that drags you down? The room swirled with murmurs, clinking cutlery, and the soft cough of an uncle pretending blindness. My brother, wrapped in his tailored suit, basked at the center as though he had rehearsed this scene for months. I watched, and instead of rage, I felt something colder, humming beneath my skin. Calculation. This was my housewarming, my walls, my furniture, my story. Yet, in one rehearsed line, he painted me an intruder. I longed to rise, to scream, to tear the smugness from his face, but I didn't. I counted instead. 3, 2, 1, and silence fell thick and suffocating. The kind that even chandeliers feared to sway inside. In that silence, every eye shifted toward me, waiting for eruption. But I smiled, just slightly, a curve of lips that whispered nothing and everything. Within, my chest burned with the betrayal of my own blood. The same brother who once begged me to hide his secrets in our childhood attic now laid mine bare before strangers. My husband's stillness carved deeper. No shield, no anger, only a sip. And my best friend's hand, trembling lifeline, spoke, "Don't break. Not now." In that silence, I learned a dangerous truth. Restraint holds greater power than rage. My brother believed the stage was his, but I had already begun scripting a memory he would never erase. Because silence is the loudest countdown, and mine had just started. The silence didn't crush me. It crushed them. A cousin coughed too loudly. Another shifted his chair, yet my brother grinned, mistaking the hush for triumph. His glass caught light as he swirled, savoring his moment. "Don't just sit there," he taunted. "You knew this was coming. You've always been a guest in your own home." His words were arrows dipped in years of festering jealousy. Yet I didn't flinch. Instead, I felt my friend's thumb press into mine beneath the table, steady rhythm. "Stay still. Stay sharp." I scanned the room like a battlefield. The uncles leaned back, arms folded, posing neutrality. The aunts whispered behind napkins, their gossip rising like smoke. My husband. Oh, my husband. He leaned with ease into his chair, half-smile locked, eyes dodging mine. Too content in my brother's shadow. Too complicit. Inside, my pulse raced, not from shock, but from clarity. His declaration wasn't sudden. This was reheated. A scheme not only drafted by my brother, but reinforced by someone closer than blood. I lifted my glass slowly, echoing his rhythm. "Interesting," I murmured, low enough to make them lean in. "But tell me, brother, when did you begin trading loyalty for signatures? Was it before or after? The money you borrowed but never returned?" His smirk cracked. Just briefly, but enough. My words fractured the air like hairline cracks in marble. My friend's grip tightened under the table. A hidden cheer, a silent oath. "I'm with you." The crowd shifted uneasy, sensing the spark of something beyond family quarrel. And in that moment, I knew my brother wasn't the only one prepared for tonight. Because revenge doesn't always thunder. It often begins as whispers cutting deeper than screams. And I was ready to whisper louder than anyone ever doubted. His smirk barely held, but I caught it. That flicker of panic he fought to bury beneath arrogance. He set his glass down too fast, the sound slicing sharp across the table. "Don't twist this," he snapped. "Everyone here knows you've been reckless. Someone had to intervene before you ruined everything." The audience leaned closer, hungry for spectacle. My chest rose slow, deliberate. I didn't hurry my reply. Ruined everything. Or created something you couldn't bear to see me own? Gasps broke loose. The chandelier's glow fractured across a dozen restless eyes. My brother's jaw clenched, but his gaze cut first to my husband, then to the papers folded neatly in his jacket. That's when it landed. My husband wasn't silent out of neutrality. He was silent because he already knew. My stomach coiled like a rope pulled too tight. Betrayal had a face, and it was the one sipping wine beside me. I locked eyes with him until he looked away first. Proof. The silence thickened, pressing like storm clouds overhead. My best friend's hand shook against mine, but not from fear, from fury contained. Let me be clear, my brother pressed on, voice climbing. The deed is signed. The lawyer will verify it. This is no longer yours. His certainty was staged, yet the quiver in his tone betrayed him. He wasn't unbreakable. He was trapped inside his own fabrication, and the room felt it ripple. I leaned forward, my voice thin as a blade, the kind that makes lungs halt just to hear. You think you've stolen my house, brother, but all you've done is build the stage for your own collapse. The chandelier flickered once, as though even the wires held their breath. The countdown hadn't finished. It had sharpened, and every pair of eyes clung to me, waiting for eruption. Unaware, I held the spark. The spark burned in my palm, unseen but scorching. I let the silence stretch unbearable until the room itself leaned forward. Then I said calmly, if the deed is truly yours, then why do your hands tremble each time you speak of it? His fingers halted midair, quivering against the stem of glass. A hush rolled through the guests, their stares snapping to the tiny fracture of nerves in his poise. He forced a laugh, but the sound rang brittle, hollow. My husband cleared his throat. Enough, he said, too measured, too scripted. This isn't a time for family theatrics. Tonight is for celebration. I turned slowly, narrowing my eyes. Celebrate what? My home, or the illusion that loyalty still exists beneath this roof? My words carved the air. My husband flinched just enough for me to notice. That was the instant the truth solidified. He wasn't bystander. He was partner. Across the table, my best friend sat rigid, fire in her eyes though her lips stayed closed. She crushed my hand once, fierce, as if transferring strength into my veins. And it worked. My fear sharpened into something cleaner. Focus. Tell them, brother. I demanded, steady. Who bankrolled your lawyer? Who handed you my mortgage files, my accounts, my weakest points? Was it you alone? His eyes flickered, barely, toward my husband. It was enough. The room inhaled sharply, masks slipping all at once. My brother's smirk returned, thinner now, stretched brittle. Careful, Era. You've always had such a vivid imagination. I leaned back, lips curving faint. Imagination builds tales. Evidence ends them. And I promise you, I hold both. The chandelier swayed overhead, scattering fractured truth across polished glasses. The guests froze, caught between drama and revelation. And in that fragile stillness, I knew the balance had shifted. The housewarming had become something darker. My tribunal. My war front. The unraveling had only begun. The cracks widened before me. My brother's voice stammered. My husband's jaw locked. And the guests shifted uneasily, sensing they were no longer guests at all, but witnesses. The chandelier's glow flashed across every wine glass like a gallery of judgment. I let their silence press down harder. Then I tilted my head, smiling as if amused by a private joke. Do you remember, brother, when we were children and you begged me to hide those report cards? The ones proving you failed the same class twice. His face flushed deep crimson. Murmurs rippled across the crowd. He opened his mouth, but I cut him off. You've always been skilled at burying failures beneath louder tales. And now you've dragged my husband into your theater. But answer me, who profits most when I'm gone? The question hung like smoke. Every gaze swung toward my husband. He lowered his glass carefully. Too carefully. His lips parted, ready to defend, but nothing came. My best friend leaned close, whispering low, just for me. They've underestimated you. Keep going. I turned back to the room. Family isn't bound by blood alone. It is bound by trust. And tonight in my home, you've shown me who trusts betrayal over truth. My brother tried to laugh, but the sound cracked false. You've got no proof, Era. Only stories. Stories won't save you. I lifted my glass. You're right. Stories don't save me. They save the ones listening, the ones watching masks slip. But proof? Proof destroys. A sharp knock echoed against the front door. Every head turned. The timing flawless, cinematic. My brother stiffened. My husband froze. I rose slowly, my dress brushing against the chair, smiling at the room. Proof, I whispered, always knows when to arrive. The knock came again, louder, insistent. The stage I'd been waiting for split wide open. The pounding thundered once more, rattling silver against porcelain. Every guest's eyes trailed me as I crossed the polished floor, my heels clicking like a gavel striking wood. My brother's voice spiked behind me, tinged with panic. Don't open it, Era. That panic was all the confession I needed. I flung the door wide. A courier stood framed, dark suit, leather satchel draped across his chest. He adjusted his glasses, voice steady, professional. Delivery for Miss Quinn. Legal documents. Signature required. A ripple tore through the crowd. My brother lunged forward, face blanched. That's mine, he barked, clawing for the envelope. The courier jerked back, eyes narrowing. I'm afraid not, sir. Addressed to Miss Quinn, verified by ID. His hand extended toward me. Steady, I signed, my pen carving across paper like a blade. The courier placed the sealed envelope into my grip. Waited, certain. I thanked him, and as the door shut behind, silence poured heavy. I returned to the table unhurried, savoring dread spreading across my brother's features. My husband sat stiff, sweat streaking his temple. My best friend whispered, "Open it." I tore the seal. Inside, copies of my deed, notarized, stamped, undeniable. Alongside, bank records, each payment traced, each signature confirmed. And tucked at the back, damning revelations, forged attempts. My brother's name, my husband's signature. The air crackled electric. I spread the documents flat beneath the chandelier's glare. You wanted a stage, I murmured. Here it stands. Gasps surged like waves. My brother lunged but froze when every gaze locked onto him. My husband's lips moved, fumbling for explanation, but words died. He shrank, consumed by truth. And me? I didn't raise my voice. My silence weighed more than screams. The housewarming had twisted into a tribunal, and the reckoning had only begun. The room throbbed with tension. Every breath shallow, every stare sharpened. My brother's hand hovered above the papers like a thief mid-crime. My husband leaned back, eyes darting between me and the damning signatures stared back at him, as if he searched for an escape route no one else could see. I straightened, letting silence press heavier. Then I spoke, calm, deliberate, fraud, conspiracy, betrayal, all dressed as family concern. My voice shook not from fear, but from strength. Tell me, brother, how long did you think this charade could survive? Until I moved away? Until shame drowned me? He stammered, words collapsing into fragments. The confidence bled from him, leaving only raw desperation. It wasn't supposed to go this far. Aunt Lydia gasped aloud. Someone muttered, "Unbelievable." The gathering had shifted into tribunal, and my brother now stood accused. I turned my eyes on my husband. His stillness betrayed him more than speech. "And you," I said, my tone sharper, "you knew. You let him feed on my trust while you poured my wine." He shifted, finally meeting my gaze, but cowardice stared back. "It was just business," he muttered, feeble, the excuse of a man already lost. "Business," I echoed, my voice breaking colder. "Marriage is not business. Trust is not currency. Betrayal is never profit." My best friend released my hand, rising with slow certainty. Her voice pierced the haze. "You both underestimated her. That was your first mistake. The last was believing she wouldn't fight. The crowd stirred, whispers swelling into judgments, judgments into verdicts. My brother shrank beneath their eyes. My husband drowned in silence that roared louder than condemnation. I gathered the papers, pressing them to my chest like armor. This house isn't yours, I declared, steady. It never was. Tonight, it will be remembered not as walls reclaimed, but as the place you lost me. The chandelier swayed, its crystals clinking like applause from the universe itself. And still, one final act remained. It came not with shouting, but with quiet clarity. I stood at the head of my table, the papers spread like a crown reclaimed. The same guests who whispered doubts now looked at me with new weight in their eyes. Respect, even awe. My brother's shoulders sagged, bravado draining with every second. Alara, listen, he began, but the words cracked fragile. No longer a conqueror, just a boy ensnared in his own trap. I lifted the deed, raising it into the light. You tried to erase me, but truth leaves ink you cannot wash away. My voice was unwavering, each syllable cutting deeper than any courtroom verdict. This house is mine. My life is mine. And your betrayal holds no place here. The guests shifted, subtle nods spreading. Even those neutral now leaned toward me. The tide had turned, irreversible. I faced my husband. He avoided my eyes, his hand tightening around his glass until it quivered. You chose silence when your voice could have mattered, I said softly. And in silence, you showed me who you are. So my vow is simple. You will never share my table again. He swallowed hard, mute. His silence became his confession. My best friend slipped her arm through mine, grounding me. Proof that loyalty still breathes, even when blood and vows collapse. I turned to the crowd, my words quiet but resolute. Let this night be remembered not as the night I was betrayed, but as the night betrayal lost. The chandelier blazed brighter, scattering light across polished wood and shattered illusions. My brother lowered his head. My husband sank into his chair, and the guests began to rise, some in support, some in shame. I pressed the papers to my heart, and for the first time that night, I exhaled fully. The weight lifted, not replaced by fury, but by clarity. Betrayal built this stage. Justice closed the curtain.